Everybody, it's Brooke with the Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. Today we have a very delicious and traditional recipe with you that we are putting our low carb spin on. It is our low carb lasagna roll-ups that we make with zucchini. Now, like we do a lot of our other recipes, we've made some healthy substitutions here that you will not be able to tell the difference. You can still get those lasagna roll-ups, that comfort food like you're used to, and not have to worry about your old waistline. So stay with us. Okay, so it seems like a lot, but it's really not. It's not any more labor intensive than regular lasagna. So to a large Dutch oven, we're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. You can use olive oil or a combination of both. I like using the avocado oil just simply because it has a higher smoke point. Which means that it can withstand high temperatures and it doesn't have any flavor, so to speak. So to this, we're going to add a half a cup of diced onion that I've already just diced up. And this is essentially going to be our ragu or our meat sauce. Now this is great. You can make this ahead of time and it's just nice to have on hand for any night of the week, really. So to this, we're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And you just do that to suit your taste, how you like it, how much garlic or not. And we're just going to brown those just to sweat those onions out and cook that garlic just a little bit. This is going to be the base for our sauce. And it won't take long. We're just going to cook it just a minute or two. Now over here you'll notice that I have 1.5 pounds of really lean ground beef, and then I have 1/2 pound of Italian sausage. I'm using turkey. You can use chicken, or you can use just regular Italian sausage that's made from pork or beef, but this is a low carb version, so we're going with the leaner of all of the above, and we're using turkey. So once we get all of this nice and sweated through, it just takes a minute or so, we're going to add in our Italian sausage and our ground beef. And we're just going to brown these. And I'm trying to break it up a little bit with my hands so that it doesn't take as long to cook. But that's okay if it does, because we can do some other steps while that is cooking to get us ready for our lasagna. Now we're just going to brown our meat along with our onions and our garlic until it's nice and done. And because it's good and lean, it won't cook off a lot of fat, but it is a ragu, so I normally, whenever I make a meat sauce like this, I don't normally drain off much of the fat, and you don't have to either. So if you're making this with traditional ingredients, you can leave it be because fat equals flavor. And fat is not a bad thing either. We're so predisposed as a society to think that fat is bad, and it's not. We need a little healthy fat in our diet. All right, so we're going to get that browned off. Okay, so now that we have that our sausage and our ground beef browned all nice, it did not cook off a lot of fat because we're using really lean ground beef and really lean turkey Italian sausage. So to this we're going to add 28 ounces of diced tomatoes, and for me that's 2 cans. And I'm using these fire roasted ones. I really like the flavor that they add. And I'm just going to fold that in and get that liquid nice and incorporated. I have lowered my heat to low because we're going to allow this to simmer. Now to this I'm going to add 1 6 or 8 ounce can of tomato paste. And yes, this recipe is one where you use the whole can. Isn't that nice? This will add more tomato flavor as well as thicken our sauce, which is what we want. We're gonna get that folded in as well and kind of let it melt in. And this is just simple, basic, pure flavors here that we're adding. You can dress this up, but there's just really no need. We like recipes like these that just show you that sometimes it's simple flavors are best. And we like to use a lot of fresh ingredients and things with no additives in them. So now to this, we're gonna add just a little bit of salt because we'll taste it later after it simmers, and just a little bit of pepper. And then I'm going to add in some parsley, dried parsley, and you just do this to your liking, okay? And then I'm also going to add in some dried basil. Really simple, nice Italian flavors. And we'll just get that all incorporated in. And we'll just allow this to simmer on low for about 20 minutes. And we'll probably taste it, just make sure it's what we want. And this is a lot of sauce. We'll probably use most of it, but this also freezes really well, and you can take it out and make the rest of this dish by half, or you can double it. So I always typically have some of this left over whenever I make this, and that's fine. I'll freeze it because it's good for me and Big D. It's just the two of us here. So this goes a long way. We can also take these lasagna roll-ups and just make a few and then freeze the rest of the sauce. It's just such a good, versatile recipe. So now we're going to make our stuffing for our roll-ups. And this is, to me, the best part. So we're using 1.5 cups of ricotta cheese. This is naturally part skim, so, I mean, you know, it's already good for you. So 8 ounces is about 1 cup, and then another 4 ounces, so about 12 ounces. So in a 15-ounce tub, you have a good, you know, you have some left. So you can eyeball it like I just did. All right, let me keep this guy moving and lower that heat just a little bit more. I have like a little simmer setting, so I'm gonna knock it down to that. Now we're going to add in 1 egg to our ricotta. And I'm just gonna break that egg up and just kind of pull it into that ricotta just to get that. Sometimes the white can be kind of lumpy, so we're gonna get it added in. Now I'm gonna add in about 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And I got some of the fancier stuff that's bagged, but you can certainly use the kind that comes in a jar. Now I'm gonna add just a little salt to this and just a little pepper. Salt and pepper, the natural flavors of life, right? They add so much with just so little. And now we're gonna add just a little bit more basil and a little more parsley. We're trying to keep our flavors kind of the same. So I've got the same basil and parsley, and we're going to just add that in. And I usually just eyeball this. I'll put some in, then I'll mix it up. It's probably gonna be about 1/2 teaspoon or a little more of each. We've added that in our ricotta, and I can see the flecks of it, and that's always nice. But I like to be a little heavy on that basil, so, and let's try something. I saw something. I'm putting one on top of the bottom of the other. Look at there. And you just roll it around. Let's see if it works with the parsley. Parsley's a little bit bigger. Oh yeah, it works pretty good for the parsley. It works better for the basil. Let me give this a stir. And I'm going to get out a spoon and take a little out and set it over here to the side and let it be cooling. And I'm going to set my filling to the side and then get a pan. And then ahead of time, I've taken about 3 medium to large zucchini, and I have carefully sliced them on my mandolin slicer just so that they make these long strips. I have sort of wet a paper towel and just laid it over the top so that they wouldn't lose their moisture, and just popped them in the fridge. So they've worked out really well. So now we're just going to assemble our lasagna roll-ups. So I'm going to take one of those zucchini slices and just take a little bit of that ricotta and put it down the center like that. And then take it and just roll it up. And look how pretty. And now I take that seam side and just put it down in my pan. So we're going to take all this zucchini and do enough to fill up just this whole pan. And you want to make sure that they stick really good, so make sure you put plenty of that ricotta in there. Now, an alternate way to do this, you could put them in just like that with the little end sticking up. If you had a ton that you needed to get rid of, you could do them that way. And they don't have to be perfect. They don't all have to be the same size. Most times when you have zucchini like this, it's not gonna be all the same size. So you just do it the best you can, and you roll them on up just like that and stick them in the bottom of the pan. All right, so let's give our sauce a taste. Perfect. It doesn't need any salt, any pepper, none of the like. We're gonna get the rest of these rolled up and get our pan full. Then we'll come back and show you what we do before we put them in the oven, so stay with us. Okay, so now we have all of our zucchini rolled up and placed all pretty in our pan. So now I'm just gonna take this delicious ragu and just pour it liberally over the top. I mean, liberally, because this is the liquid that will cook the zucchini. And so you want to make sure you really just pile it on. So if you're making the entire recipe, I would use just about all of this sauce. I'm using, it's a decorative pan, so it's a little smaller than a 9 by 13, but I really just kind of just fill it to the max here and just get it all nice and spread around. So even filling it up like this, I have, you know, a little bit left over. But you can let it cool, come to room temperature, and freeze that and use it for another time. You can also split this into multiple small pans, like a loaf pan, and make 2 or 3 of these to have for later. So now we want to take about 2 cups of shredded mozzarella and just liberally just put that all over the top. I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees, and we're just gonna pop this in for about 20 minutes. That literally is all that it's going to take. So I'm gonna finish this cheese up, and then I'll bake it up in the oven, let it cool a little bit, cut some out, and we'll taste it and show you how pretty it is and how delicious it tastes. So stay with us. Okay, everybody, we are back. We finished our 20-minute cook time, and it had baked up beautifully. That top with all that cheese got nice and browned and locked in that moisture for everything to cook through on the inside. I did have some sauce left over, so I want to talk to you about that. A lot of times when you have red sauce and you put it in a freezer or a refrigerator container, it will dye the edges. A real quick tip, and lots of you probably already know this, is before you put anything tomato based in your containers is just to spray it with a little bit of spray. I love, you know, I love this avocado spray. And be sure before, even if you refrigerate this, that you let it cool down completely, even before you put the top on. That's very, very important. So let's take a look at how beautiful this cooked up. I mean, that top, let's see if you can hear it. That top is nice and crispy and crunchy and cheesy. And yes, I have dipped out some already because I do not want to burn the inside of my mouth. Now, because we are using the zucchini in place of our noodles, it does tend to weep a little bit, but it's okay because it mixes with all that sauce and it becomes just this beautiful thing. But it is just gorgeous. Everything stayed intact. It's so nice. And now we're gonna cut a little. I'm gonna try to get a little. a little. Okay, I did. I got a little. I got some of that sauce and it's still pretty hot. But the longer you can let it sit and kind of set up, the better, which I did. I let it set up for about 20 to 30 minutes after I pulled it out of the oven, and it's still plenty hot. This is perfect for Sundays or even a weeknight. It really didn't take that long to whip up, and you will not miss the pasta. Let's give it a taste. So that ricotta mix is so simple, and it makes lasagna. It just does. And it also, spread on those zucchini slices, makes it one of the reasons why you don't miss the pasta in here, because that's what you're going for lasagna anyway, is that cheese filling. And you get it on here and that zucchini is cooked perfectly. It's almost al dente, just like pasta. It's delicious, the cheese. And if you do nothing else with this recipe but just use this meat sauce, there are just dozens of applications in which you could use it alone. It's a very good meat sauce that can be used even just for spaghetti. And it's very little ingredients. Most of these are pantry staples that you already have on hand. So it's not any harder to cook from scratch like this than it is to open a can of something that's got all this added sugar and chemicals that you don't know anything about. You can open a can of tomatoes just like we just did, that on the ingredients it says tomatoes and water, and that's what you're looking for, and have a really good, really fresh, wholesome meal for you and your family. And in the summer, zucchini is plentiful, so this is a good way to use up some zucchini. This also makes a great food gift as well. This recipe, like all of our others, can be found over at thebutteredhome.com. We would really love it if you would give us a visit over there and get your free printable recipe for this and so much more while you're there. Also, make sure, if you're not already, that you're following us on all of our social channels. We have a really good time, and you never know who we're going to pop in with tips and tricks or me just making a mess. Also, if you want all of our videos in one convenient place, head over to YouTube, search for The Buttered Home, and when you find us, hit that subscribe button so that you can, and ding the bell, so that you can be notified when we drop new videos like this one. If I didn't flub the dub, I wouldn't be me. So I hope you've enjoyed this recipe, and be sure and tag me if you make it and let me know how you liked it. From all of us here at The Buttered Home to your home, we sure love y'all. Bye.